The search for the best pickleball paddle starts now. Is this the one for you? The Selkirk Vanguard PowerAir Invicta. One thing it certainly is a mouthful. It's a big name, but look how pretty it is. Look at this. Take this thing apart a little bit here. Let's see it. This thing is a beauty. There's no doubt about that. Let's see if I can actually open this without hurting it. There we go. Here we go. See, look at this. Look how pretty this thing is. No doubt, the Vanguard Power and the Invicta, it's one of the prettiest rackets there is. Rackets. Sorry, my tennis days shining through. One of the prettiest paddles there are out there. It's a long name, and it's a pretty paddle. This is probably the one I see the most when I'm out there playing just pickup games, at the gym, at the pickleball courts. This is what you see all over, whether it's the red one or the black one. These ones are everywhere. Probably because you can find them on Amazon, like those two colors. I've definitely put hours into this paddle, and as I've tested it, it's definitely been one of my favorite compared to several other paddles that I've been testing. So I want to go through some of my thoughts, and I also tried to make some objective tests to decide exactly how good this paddle is. My favorite test is the spin test, and that's what we're going to show right here. I have a pickleball right here. I drew a line across it with a Sharpie, and what I did is I tried to hit this ball and generate as much spin as I could. So many of these paddles talk about how much spin they can generate. And then as it spins, I count the time it takes to make one revolution. So it spins here, and that's one revolution. As soon as I saw this line again, I would count that as one revolution. I recorded at 1/8 speed, and then I show it to you here, and I stop it every time, and I change that time to actual real time. And so I count how many seconds, or really decimals of seconds, that it takes to make one revolution, and I count 3 revolutions, and then I do the math to figure out what the RPMs are. And then that can be the benchmark that I use across all my paddles. And here I do a speed test. I'm just using a pocket radar. I use this for pitching so I can test speed of pitches. And it's the same thing. And our average is about 45, 46 miles an hour. And this is really just shows you what that max speed is, which is 60 in this case. And kind of gives you an idea. Now, objective, subjective, I don't know. Really, this is just a kind of a gauge. We can see what we can do. And so hopefully you can enjoy this and kind of enjoy the speed. It's kind of cool to see it. I'll put some nice music on for you. There you go. And now what I call the sweet spot test. So what we have here is we have a laser pointer like level attached to this PVC pipe. And it's a way for me to test how far this thing is going to bounce based on like if I drop it right on the sweet spot. So the idea is if I compare this paddle to paddle, I'm going to be able to determine which one is really higher and has a better pop without any force behind it. And this one was an okay one. You'll see it here and there. But this one went up to about, I think 10 1/4 was about the high I got to on the Selkirk Invikta PowerAir Vanguard. Enjoy. Now here I use the same setup as I did for the pop test, but this time I'm gauging the size of the sweet spot. So what I tried to do is bounce the ball as close as I could to the edges and then measure about how far F that edge I was going to get. And this really helped me determine exactly. I just took the side, or the distance from the side and the distance from the top, And then I kind of just took an area. So I just said, okay, it ended up being, I think, 39 inches total square area. And again, I'm going to have all that stats at the end of this video. But there it is. You can just watch me struggle here. I sped this video up because it did take me a while to go through and test it all. And that really brings us to the end of my tests. And this is really the most of the tests that we had. It was really to go through and try to be objective with some of those. And as you can see, not all of them were as objective as I'd like. And at the end, really my recommendation is it's a pretty great paddle. I don't know if it's $250 great, and it really depends on your budget. As far as I felt, it feels like one of the most superior paddles out there. So if money's not an object, it's a really good purchase. You're going to see red and black. They're the primary ones you're going to see out there. And if you look closer, you can see it here. You can see all that those little bumps there. But one thing I think I noticed, again, I talked about this in there, the RPMs were off the scale. They were higher than I'd seen in any other paddle and any other tests I'd done. And you could feel it. Like when I was trying to do the speed test and hit it straight at the camera, it would just rise and then drop like crazy. My son, who's a baseball player, he's watching it and he's like, Dad, it feels like you're throwing curveballs, because they would go up and then down like crazy. And it really easy to, which I guess allows you to use more power, because then you're hitting with more power and the topspin is going to drive it over the net and then back down. It won't sky it out there. So I really think it's a powerful paddle. I go there, play in the morning with it, and honestly, I wouldn't play with it this morning. And I felt like I was crushing, hitting the spots where I wanted it, got the power when I wanted it, got the soft, gentle touch when I wanted it. It's a great paddle. Can't recommend it enough. This is their website. This is where all the actual tech specs are. I love all the colors they have. The ones you mostly see are going to be this black and this red. And there's also cool ones out there though. Prestige, you don't see these though, because I don't think they're sold on Amazon. You can see like the Catherine, the Tyson, all these other colors are really cool. Great options out there. The tech specs they have, it says this has the longest handle. This didn't feel like that long of a handle to me. The handle length was 5 1/4 is what it says. I'm not sure where they're measuring from. You can see when we measured it here that it was only 5 inches what I saw. Total pedal length, pedal width, it said, our pedal weight range was 7.8 to 8.1. You can see that was right in that range. I had 7.8 ounces is what I got measured on that. Now I had slightly different statistics when I went in there. My face height was 8.5 inches. And I'm just going from the air, like the divot, the hole, all the way to the top. And then the length was 7.5 inches. And that's really like the width of it. So that gives it a total face area of 63 3/4 inches squared. Now, the sweet spot was down from that, of course, because we're shaving off some of those edges, and it came down to about 39 inches squared is what I saw, which is a decent size, and really we have to use it. You really have to compare it to others to feel what that sweet spot is. Now, one thing I don't know that I've been able to test is when you're hitting with a racket, a paddle, you're going out there and you're hitting, it just dies on your paddle. And I always wonder, does it feel like the paddle? And certainly I felt like I had less dead spots with this paddle compared to others, but it still would happen occasionally. And obviously some of that's me. I'm hitting it at the wrong spot. Probably hit a little bit too much on the edge of the paddle, like over here on these edges. And that helps it, makes it drop. It feels a lot less than one of my cheaper, the Neo Pipo, one of those ones I bought from Amazon, where it just dies a lot more, and those are really frustrating. And I have to think that's mostly related to sweet spot. Sometimes I swear, sometimes it's not me, it's the freaking paddle. I'm in the middle of the sweet spot and it still dies. I can't confirm that. As far as I could test, if you're in the middle area in that 39 inches squared, you're going to be good. Max speed I could find was 60 miles an hour, and the average speed was 56.7. So high 50s is pretty dang good for an average speed. RPMs, again, that whopping 2,000 RPMs. That's really impressive. I was really happy with it. You can see all these other statistics here. I'll put all these pictures up there to see. And I just want to end with this is a video I had with my son, and he's 11 and he's out there, and he goes out there and he plays with me often in the morning, and we go and compete. He does pretty good. He's still a beginner and he's used to one of those less expensive paddles. So I wanted to get his thoughts and what he felt about it. And that's really what I want to take us out with here. So you can check it out here, this final part. And if this has been helpful at all, you can subscribe. I try to go in depth. If you want more stats or other tests that we could do to really test these paddles, please let me know. We'd love to talk about it. Appreciate it. Seen the Selkirk Invikta PowerAir from the eyes of a beginner. He's using that paddle now. He's used to a less expensive paddle, about $35 to $40. Go ahead, Zach. It's gonna dink back and forth. Nice and soft. Zach, how does it feel?
It feels really good. It feels really light, and so I can easily like swish it by. One down part is that I'm used to a paddle that's not as expensive, so it doesn't have as much pop. So now I have to get used to the more pop.